Hey, 6th grade, we are getting started on our new unit, which means we need to get going with all of the vocabulary words for the new unit. So make sure you have your math binders and notes ready to go so we can get started on this. So as you can see here on your screen, our first vocabulary word is factor. And a factor is a number that divides evenly into a larger number. And you need to make sure that you get that in your notes. Factor. It's a number that evenly divides into a larger number. An example of a factor could be something such as 12 divided by 3 equals 4 because 3 goes into 12 evenly 4 times. We could even flip it around and say that 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So that means that 4 and 3 are both factors of 12. But what if we did something like this? 12 divided by 5. That would give us 2 with a remainder of 2 for our answer. Or 12 divided by 7 would equal 1 with a remainder of 5. So 5 and 7 cannot be factors of 12 because they do not divide into 12 evenly. Make sure you get all of this in your notes because you have your example and your non-example right here. Okay, our next vocabulary word is divisible. And the definition of divisible is a number that is evenly divided by another number without a remainder. So make sure you get that in your notes. Divisible is a number that is evenly divided by another number without a remainder. An important fact to know about this definition is that the first number must always be larger than the second number. So an example could be something such as 27 divided by 3 equals 9. So 3 goes into 27 evenly. 27 is divisible by 3. Also, 27 is the first number here, and it is definitely larger than 3. A non-example could be something like 25 divided by 4, which would get us 6 and a remainder of 1. So 25 is obviously not divisible by 4 because it has a remainder. Make sure you get all of that in your notes. All right, our next vocabulary word is divisibility rules. Divisibility rules are tests for determining where a positive whole number is divisible by another. And I know that sounds goofy and confusing, but our next video is going to be all about divisibility rules, and then it'll make more sense. An important fact that you need to know is that there are multiple divisibility rules. So an example could be something like, oh goodness, if a number is divisible by 5, the number in the ones place would be 0 or 5. So for a number to be divisible by 5, the number in the ones column has to be a 0 or a 5. So 65 would be an example of that because of the divisible by 5 rule because there is a 5 in the ones place. But what if we take a look at a number such as 81? There's a 1 in the ones column, so there is no way that 81 is divisible by 5 unless it has a remainder, which then means it's really not divisible by 5 because it does not end with a 0 or a 5. Our next word is factor pair. And a factor pair is two natural numbers other than 0 that are multiplied together to produce another number. So make sure you get that in your notes. A factor pair is two natural numbers other than 0 that are multiplied together to produce another number. An important fact to remember about these things is that there are always two numbers in a factor pair. When you think of a pair, you should be thinking of 2 of something. So in a factor pair, you always have to have 2 numbers. Oh goodness, a couple of examples could be factor pairs that equal 16. There's 1 times 16, that equals 16. 2 times 8 equals 16. 4 times 4 equals 16. Those are all factor pairs because there are 2 numbers multiplied together that make a different number. Okay, the next word, and it's a long one, your next vocabulary word is commutative property of multiplication. Make sure you get all of this in your notes too, even though it's a long one. And the definition of the commutative property of multiplication is changing the order of two or more factors in a multiplication sentence does not change the product. So in any multiplication sentence, you can change your factors and put them in any order you want, and the product will always come out as the same. A little fun fact for you is that there is also a commutative property of addition, and the order does not matter in addition or multiplication. So an example could be something such as 29 times 3 equals 87. Well, even if you switch these around, switch your factors around, 3, oh shoot, that should be an x, shouldn't it? Anyway, 3 times 29 will still equal 87, no matter what. A non-example would be something such as 10 divided by 5 equals 2, but then if you try to divide 5 by 10, so here's 5 divided by 10, you wind up with 1/2. So that doesn't work out quite so well. So with the commutative property of multiplication and with addition, the order does not matter. Okay, this vocabulary word is the last vocab word for this video, and it is multiple. And a multiple is the product of a given whole number and another whole number. A fact that you need to know is that multiples are often called skip counting. I mean, and you guys have been skip counting since before kindergarten. So an example that I put on here real quick was skip counting by twos. You have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on and so on. Another example of multiples could be something like, multiples of 10. Let's try that again. I don't have anything to erase yet. Maybe. Oh my goodness, you guys, seriously, what's the deal? Let's turn that one off. Okay, so anyway, multiples, let's do multiples of 10. And you wind up with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. A non-example could be something such as, oh goodness, I guess we're going to go up here to the top. A non-example of a multiple could be 10 divided by 5 equals 2, or 10 divided by 2 equals 5. 5 and 2 are not multiples of 10. They're just factors. So don't get the two confused. Basically, multiples are skip counting, and that's one good, easy way to remember that. Okay, so that was your last vocabulary word for the video, but I do have a few other vocab words that I just want you to jot down in your notes because we will be working with them in class tomorrow. So, and also, some of these you already saw in your pretest today, and some of you are freaking out. So, let's start with least common multiple, which is also known as LCM. The next one is the greatest common factor, or GCF. Whoops, let's make sure I get that to you correctly. Number 3 is a prime number, and the last one is a composite number. So make sure you get those 4 vocab words just written in your notes, and we will add definitions and facts and examples and all of that to them in class tomorrow. So make sure that you have gotten all of this in your notes and you bring it all back to class with you tomorrow so you're prepared. All right? So that's it. See y'all in class.